In 1998, Osama bin Laden issued a fatwa entitled Jihad Against Jews and Crusaders. He reiterated his declaration following the devastating attack on 9/11. Shortly thereafter, Reverend Billy Graham and President George Bush were pressured by the liberal left media to remove the word crusade from their vocabularies. Now Muslims plan to build a 13-story complex in Manhattan, just 600 feet away from the graves of 2,750 innocent people sacrificed in the name of Islam. It will contain a mosque, but where the money will come from has not been revealed. Like most of the billions of dollars invested in the American media corporations, universities, arts, presidential libraries, and ex-presidential speeches, the money will come from Saudi Arabia, the home of Osama bin Laden and 11 of the 19 suicide bombers. The mosque plan has been enthusiastically welcomed by gutless politicians and civic leaders to show how tolerant they are. This tolerance is at the expense of almost 3,000 dead Americans. This symbolic mosque near Ground Zero is set to be dedicated on the 10th anniversary of 9/11 and will embolden radical Islam to strike the great Satan America, believing the U.S. is weak, fearful, and ready to submit to Islam. It will confirm their beliefs that America is a soft, decadent country, confused, guilt-ridden, having no backbone and no pride. The imam leading the charge, Faisal Abdul Rauf, a blatant Hamas-loving, Zionist-hating bigot, says the U.S. is culpable for the 9/11 attacks. He believes that America's Constitution should embrace Sharia law. It makes me sick to my stomach, not to speak of the fact that the Obama administration is paying him to be a State Department U.S. representative to the Middle East. Rauf plans to name the phallic symbol Cordoba House after the Great Mosque of Cordoba, Spain. It was the capital of the Muslim Caliphate, which ruled over the conquered Spaniards. Similarly, the Mosque of Omar in Jerusalem was built in 1193 CE on the temple site. It was erected to perpetuate the Islamic Jihad practice of building mosques on sites of historic conquest. Only a fool would fail to realize that mosques, mullahs, and madrasas fuel, feed, and finance the 9/11 terrorists. Non-religious Muslims never beg for an early ticket to paradise. The battle of good versus evil is being fought from within. America is under siege. It was attacked by radical Islamists for being a Christian nation, and now the hippies of the 60s run the establishment they railed against are in bed with the enemy. One kills the body, the other the soul. It's the dumbing down of America, all in the name of political correctness. These secular humanist morons excuse evil, or worse, deny it exists and coddle it by refusing to confront it. These enemies seek to destroy our freedom and impose their views on us. Anyone contradicting them is labeled as ignorant, evil, a racist, or a bigot. The lunatics, liberals, and liars supporting this plan do not believe that evil exists. It's not bad enough that almost 3,000 people lost their lives in the hideous acts of religious mass murder. Now their memories will be insulted, and the religion responsible for murdering them will be allowed to build a towering, triumphant mosque near the ground where they died. I am outraged, and you should be too. Are we losing our minds? To call it a tribute to the victims of 9/11 shows contempt for those who died. This is tantamount to standing on their graves and burning American flags. The events of 9/11 would never have happened had it not been for the teachings of jihad in mosques by mullahs. Any Muslim who denies this is a liar. The first attack on the World Trade Towers on February 26, 1993, was perpetrated by a blind mullah, Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman. When his house was raided by the FBI, 23 boxes of information on the attack were found and labeled irrelevant religious stuff. During the first Persian Gulf War, I traveled briefly with General Mohammed Khalid, Commander-in-Chief of the Saudi multinational forces. He scolded me. Don't exaggerate. Only 10% of Muslims are radical. I replied, thank you. I'm comforted. That means only 130 million of you want to cut my head off. God-fearing Americans need to demand that this insanity stop. If the liberal left is successful in pushing this through, what's next? A Nazi memorial in Jerusalem, near Yad Vashem, where 6 million murdered Jews are memorialized? Where do you think UN protected Islamic murderers like Iran's president Mahmoud Ahmadinejad go to mock America when they come to the UN? They go to more than 100 mosques in New York City. So now we want these Holocaust-denying, American-hating nutjobs at Ground Zero? Mayor Bloomberg, shame on you. If you really want 101 mosques in New York, why not demand that Saudi Arabia give permits to build 101 churches and synagogues in its country, where not one Christian church or Jewish synagogue is permitted because of bigotry? I am asking everyone to sign the No 911 Mosque petition to Mayor Bloomberg. The last words that came from the mouth of each insane Islamic murderer on 911 were, Allah Akbar. Those words will ring night and day over the ashes of 911 if we sleep.